Hi everyone, we are from tutorial for group 4. Today we are going to discuss about the management environment. Before we start, let me introduce you our team members. I'm Kok Tan Long and we have Tan Wee Lun, Joshua Lim Zhang An, Yong Ka Kim and Tan Wei Kwok. Now, let's start off with our first discussion question 4-1. How much impact do managers actually have on an organization's success or failure? Before we dive into this topic, I'll first introduce you what are the roles and responsibilities of a manager. First of all, we have goal setting. In an organization, a top manager is responsible for setting a long-term goal to determine the direction of an organization for the next 5 years or even the decades. While middle managers are responsible to break down the long-term goal into more specific and measurable mid-term goal that focusing on intermediate outcomes. At the same time, first-line manager, as a team leader, will manage the operational staff and directly report to middle manager. Secondly, managers also plays a significant role in achieving an effective organization by cost reduction and effective resources allocation. This is to avoid waste of resources and minimize total cost of an organization. Thirdly is decision making. Organizations always face uncertainty in difficulties. In this case, manager plays a significant role by making wise decisions that maximize the organization's interests. Besides, performance of an organization is also one of the most significant role of a manager. Managers are responsible for organization's performance, especially profits. To do this, managers have to monitor the progress against goals and look for improvement when there's an underperformance situation. Next, managers are responsible to increase motivation and retention of an organization. Managers can increase motivation by giving financial or non-financial incentive that increase the job satisfaction and loyalty of employees. In addition, managers act as a mediator in a conflict by comprehend the needs of the team members and try to come out with the best solution for both sides. Moreover, managers also need to make sure that communication flows in all directions of an organization to ensure that information and instruction are successfully conveyed to everyone in an organization. Last but not least, managers also give support and guidance to its team members by giving advice and ideas on how to deal with a problem. Next, there are two perspectives that describe the relationship between manager and organization's success or failure. The first one is omnipotent view. Omnipotent view states that managers are directly responsible for the success or failure of an organization. This is because variation in organization performance depends on decision made by its manager, which means a manager should know everything that's happening and have full control on all aspects of an organization. Another perspective is symbolic view. Symbolic view implies that an organization's success or failure is influenced by factors in external environment. These external factors are beyond managers' control. For example, economy, politics, and competitors' actions. So, in this view, managers' part in an organizational success or failure is limited.
Hi everyone, my name is Tan Wei Kwok and I will answer question 2. Why do managers need an understanding of what happens outside their organizations? Give examples of how changes in the external environment can affect their job. First of all, I'd like to clarify the definition of external environment. External environment refers to factors, forces, situations, and events outside the organization that affect its performance, which includes several different components. For instance, political components that related to rules and regulation, social cultural components that often refers to lifestyles and beliefs, demographic components that consist of age, educational level, and etc., technological components that involve scientific or industrial innovations, economic components like inflation or employment rates, and finally, global components, which usually related to natural or man-made disaster like volcano eruption. Here are some examples to show how external environment affect managers' job. First, we look at the US election. If you have watched the news in the past few days, I believe you'll know that The residents in the United States have elected President Trump as their upcoming president that will lead the country in the upcoming 4 years, starting on January 2025. As we all know, different presidents have different perspectives when it comes to policy making, and President Trump is famous for his restrictive immigration policies. So let's say there's a construction company that hires a lot of workers from abroad. The manager has to plan for a tightening labor market. He or she might consider alternative workforce strategies or adjust their hiring processes to comply with any new immigration policies. The next example we are looking at is the work from home culture. Flashback to early 2020, where most of the countries in the world implemented nationwide lockdown that causes a huge impact on traditional work environment. At that moment, tons of office workers are required to work from home, which is something they've never done before. And that's why a good manager will have to lead the quick transition within the team to maintain their productivity even without face-to-face interaction. This is crucial for the organization to keep operating and minimize the impact of lockdown.
Hi, Doctor and fellow friends. I'm Yong Kakin, a first year student studying Bachelor of Finance. And now I'm going to discuss the question 4.3, which is how has the changed economy affected what managers do? Find 2 or 3 examples in current business periodicals of activities and practices that organizations are using. Discuss them in light of the changed environment. My first example is Huawei. The changed economy has affected Huawei through creating uncertainty in this business environment. From 2017 to 2021, the US government imposed a series of sanctions on Huawei, which included banning its equipment from US government agencies and blacklisting it from trading with US companies. Given its reliance on US technologies for its smartphones, these restrictions actually created serious supply chain disruptions and a highly uncertain business environment for Huawei. So in response to this changed environment, the activities and practices Huawei took included innovation and R&D strategy, which aim at achieving self-sufficiency and supply chain independence. Among the efforts Huawei took are investing in local tech startups to provide essential components and technologies, developing its own mobile operating system, which is HarmonyOS. This helped foster Huawei's growth in its device segment without relying on US software, specifically Google's Android, and strengthening its cloud and ERP, which is enterprise resources planning capabilities, by launching its own Meta ERP system. This gives Huawei more control over its data and help improve Huawei's data security. Over 2 years, it is reported that Huawei has successfully replaced 13,000 of its foreign-made components with its Chinese alternatives. Huawei's focus on innovation and self-reliance enabled it to stabilize and build a strong foundation for its future growth. My second example is KK Supermart. The changed economy has affected KK Supermart through its relationship with its stakeholders. So, pairs of socks with the word Allah were found for sale at one of its outlets. This had quickly sparked a public outrage in Malaysia, which resulted in a nationwide boycott of the retailer. The boycott had created risks of damaging its reputation, sales, and relationship with its primary stakeholders, which are its customers. In response to this changed environment, the activities and practices KK Supermart took included public relations campaigns, community engagements, and proactive efforts to repair relationships. So immediately after the incident, KK Mart's founder, Chai, had conducted an internal inspection, issued a public apology across various platforms, such as its Facebook page, press conference, electronic displays, and cash registers. It also swiftly terminated the contract with its source suppliers and took legal actions against them. To ensure transparency and to reassure the public, KK also actively cooperated with the authorities, and as a precaution, it had enhanced quality control measures and updated its standard operating procedures. KKMA's action and practices had helped mitigate the potential impact of the incidents, restore community trust, and maintain stakeholders' confidence.
Hello everyone, I'm Tang Weilun. So now we discuss question 4. Why is it important for managers to pay attention to demographic trends and shifts? Okay, before I answer a question, let me explain what is demographic trends and what is demographic shifts. Demographic trends relate to changes in the population age, gender, geographical location, marital status, educational attainment, employment status, household income, race, religion, and health. However, demographic shifts are changes in the composition of a population over time, including factors such as age, gender, race, and ethnicity. This shift occurs due to a variety of factors, including birth rates, death rates, migration patterns, and social and economic changes. Okay, so why is it important for managers to pay attention to demographic trends and shifts? Managers should pay attention to demographic trends and shifts for several reasons. This is because demographic trends and shifts can significantly affect the business operation and strategies. Culture shifts that affect the workforce trend and shift are changes that occur in the composition of a population over time. These changes include things like age, gender, education, income, race, and ethnicity that affect the way people live and work and influence the demands for goods and services. Managers must pay attention to demographic trends and shifts because they have a significant impact on the business operation and strategies if a company's target market is older people. For instance, an increasing number of young people are environmentally conscious and they are more likely to choose environmentally friendly products and services. Businesses that don't take this culture shift into account may face decreased demand for their products. Understanding demographic trends and shifts is essential for managers to be able to adapt to new business environments and maintain a competitive edge. Managers need to understand the changing demographic of their markets, their workforce, and their competitors. Demographic change and shift can help managers anticipate changes in demand for goods and services, employee needs, and consumer preferences. They can also help managers identify new business opportunities and adjust their strategies to meet changing market conditions. As such, demographic change and shift are essential for business success. Organizations need to find ways to maintain the motivation, commitment, and productivity of older workers in the face of shrinking labor supply and an aging workforce. Demographic aspects such as analyzing the age structure of employees and managing multi-generational working teams become important in mitigating the effects of labor shortage. The effects of demographic change include a need for new strategic direction, cultural changes, and policy to address the change situation. The increase in the professional activity of older people becomes necessary due to the aging population and its impacts on the labor market and pension schemes. Age-related changes at work, including age stereotyping, can negatively affect organizational performance, and organizations need to implement HR practices to keep employees satisfied, engaged, productive, and healthy, including those who are aging.
Hi, my name is Joshua Lim Sakan, and now we'll be discussing question 4-5. Businesses operate in the external environment. Discuss whether managers experience environmental stability in their business operations. In this context, provide local examples of environmental stability and environmental uncertainty. Now, before we go into all of that, let us talk about the definitions of environmental stability and environmental uncertainty. Environmental stability refers to the complexity, consistency, and predictability of an organization's surroundings or environment. So what this means is the level of predictability that an organization can predict towards the degree of change happening towards its surroundings or environment. If you look into the second point, an environment that is stable may be one in which pressure groups are not actively trying to influence the company, there are no new competitors, and existing competitors are not making much technological advancements. So basically what this means is that there are fewer competitors in the industry, and thus this means that sales will be easier to predict and thus enabling a more stable environment. On the other side, what is environmental uncertainty and what does it do to the organization? Environmental uncertainty is the degree of change, predictability of change, and complexity in an organization's environment. So basically the opposite of environmental stability. So when undergoing environmental uncertainty, managers have to make decisions in these unclear settings, which may be difficult because it may come as a sudden to them. However, managers must deal with these difficulties, as if they do not, it will jeopardize the production of the company. Now that we've gone through the definitions, let us talk about whether managers actually experience environmental stability. Simple answer is yes or no. And so when managers do experience environmental stability, they do experience it in multiple levels and for a variety of reasons, one of which is well-established market positions. And so what this means is that when a company or an organization has a well-established market, it will cause the company to be more trusted, and the services provided will also be more likely to be used consistently by other people, and thus creating environmental stability. And secondly, easy to understand is that there are no new competitors, thus it will form environmental stability, as it's easy to predict the sales going on. Secondly, let's talk about the no side. So why won't organizations experience, and why don't managers experience environmental stability? So this is because the environment is constantly changing, and change is very unpredictable, agro-dynamic environment. And so one of the reasons can be that there are sudden changes in government policies. And so what this does to an organization is that when policies are changed, certain things need to be mended and need to be changed as well. And for example, the cost increment for electricity and water. When there are higher costs for electricity and water, it will cause the managers to need to create solutions and to also create solutions fast, but also these solutions may cause an increment in cost in other areas, thus creating environmental uncertainty. And secondly, the obvious one is ongoing competition. Now let's talk about examples in local businesses. And so I've chosen two industries for environmental uncertainty and environmental stability, one of which is food industry and the second is the development industry. So why do I say the food industry is undergoing environmental uncertainty? Well, based on data, a rough estimate of 60% of businesses in the food industry close down after 1 year of operation, and the percentage increases by 20%, making it 80%, closing down and going bankrupt over 5 years. And so this shows a lot of environmental uncertainty and poses many challenges to new businesses. And this can be due to government policies, ample competitors, management, or location as well. Next, if you look into the development industry, we'll see that in the real estate and construction, it has been stable over the years in Malaysia as our GDP has increased it's always been increasing, and this is due to many reasons such as the need of citizens, the development of the country, and well-established markets. And for example, companies are like Gamuda, Sunway, and UEM.
Now, let's continue with the 10-point summary for case 1, which is an article regarding to organizational culture, organizational values, and leaders' influences on the culture. So, let's look into the first point. Susan Fowler's blog post exposed Uber's toxic work culture under CEO Travis Kalanick in February 2017. The former Uber engineer disclosed Uber's toxic culture, especially towards women, and their manager ignored it at that time. The next point, Travis Kalanick, Uber's founder, came up with the idea of hailing a cab through an app on smartphones. Kalanick and his friend find it difficult to hail a cab in Paris, and so they came up with the idea to invent an app that enabled drivers to connect directly with passengers. Moving to the next point, Uber grew rapidly as the largest ride-hailing company with more than 14,000 employees in more than 600 cities, an estimate a valuation of 70 billion. And then, Kalanick's aggressive leadership style formed a culture that prioritized hypergrowth and winning at all costs. This related to its motto, such as always be hustling and toe-stepping, that shows how Kalanick get high returns by using minimal cost. Moving to the fifth point, toxic work culture and male-dominated Bella work environment create an uncomfortable atmosphere for women. Some examples of the cultures are chest bump and push-up contest that makes employees who doesn't like doing this feel demotivated. The sixth point, Uber made several controversial decisions, including a viral video of Kalanick arguing with a driver and mishandling rap incident in India. The video is about the driver complaining about low ride fares which make drivers difficult for living, and Kalanick's reply was arrogant and out of touch. While for the rap case, it's about an Uber driver rapped a female passenger and Uber failed to vet its driver. Seventh point, Uber illegal actions including ignore local laws, spying on competitors, and cover up data breach. Uber engaged in a serious unethical practice such as spying on competitors to steal secrets and hiding data breach for over a year. Move on to the eighth point, Uber faced pressures from investors pulling out which forced out Kalanick as CEO and looked for a new leadership. Kalanick faced mounting pressures from investors and persistent internal issues, and eventually being forced out as CEO as investors no longer believed that Kalanick could continue to lead the company. Point number 9, Dara Khosrowshahi, CEO of Expedia, appointed to take over Kalanick as new Uber CEO. Khosrowshahi faced issues to rebuild Uber's reputation and implement changes to Uber culture left behind Kalanick. And the last point, as Uber strives to restore its reputation, promoting a culture of transparency and positive working environment is essential for long-term success. In summary, Uber is a ride-hailing company faced challenges following revelation of toxic cultures, aggressive leadership, and its founder Travis Kalanick mistakes in handling cases lead to his resignation and takeover by Dara Khosrowshahi that have 180-degree difference leadership style from Kalanick and trying to rebuild the company's reputation.
Now let's talk about case application 1, the discussion questions. So the first question is question 4-11. What role does a CEO play in an organization's culture, and what role do other leaders or managers play, and what role should they play? So let's talk about the role of the CEO. One of the roles of the CEO, which I think is very important, is regular communication. And I think this refers to the communication between CEO and employees. So why is communication so important? And I don't just mean small talk or business talk, but I also think that they need to talk about their personal relationship as well. And having regular communication will help build that personal relationship and also trust between CEOs and employees. Secondly, I think that CEOs should also clear the path for career developments for their employees. I don't think it is just the duty of employees to do their best and develop their own career by their own. I also think that CEOs play a very important role as they have more authority in this department. And I think that they need to do this to also motivate and to help strong and productive employees to stay in the company. So, and one of the ways in which they can do this is to help facilitate career development for their employees. Lastly, I think that CEOs are very vital in the area of creating strategic clarity. And so I think that CEOs need to establish what needs to be done and what strategies they're going to use in order to achieve their goals. And this should be known to all the employees. Now let's move on to the roles of leaders and managers. One of the roles that leaders and managers have is creating a supportive system. And I say this because the leaders and managers might not necessarily have insights on what is going on in the employee's life. And I think that it's very important for leaders and managers to know, as it helps them to support each other and to also facilitate better work-life balance in their life. Secondly, I think that it's important for leaders and managers to instill people-focused core values. And I say this is because leaders and managers will be able to have more sympathy towards their workers and to also help them and support them and to be more people-focused in their work life compared to just a goal-orientated mindset. Lastly, I think that they need leaders and managers play a role in leading by example, in which they have to be committed to the mission of the company so that they may be able to reach the goal that they want to efficiently and productively.
Now, let's move on to case study question 4-12. Using Exhibit 4.4, describe Uber's culture under its founder. The culture here refers to organizational culture, which had been explained by Tan Wei Lun just now. Uber is a ride-hailing app company. And this is a short brief of the CEO of Uber, Travis Kalanick. These are the examples of organizational culture. So the first one is attention to detail. Degree to which employees are expected to exhibit precision, analysis, and attention to detail. And then we have outcome orientation. Degree to which managers focus on results or outcomes rather than on how these outcomes are achieved. Next, we have people orientation. Degree to which management decisions take into account the effects on people in the organization. And then we have team orientation. Degree to which work is organized around teams rather than individuals. Next is aggressiveness. Degree to which employees are aggressive and competitive rather than cooperative. Furthermore, stability. Degree to which organizational decisions and actions emphasize maintaining the status quo. The last one, we have innovation and risk-taking. Degree to which employees are encouraged to be innovative and to take risks. Based on my studies, these are the summarized of Uber's culture under its founder, Travis Kalanick. The first one is outcome orientation. Outcome orientation emphasizes achievements, results, and actions as important values. This means that there is no teamwork or collaboration that are valued in Uber, as they only value results. The next one is innovation and risk-taking. This is because of the Uber's mission around certain foundational beliefs: pursue hypergrowth at all costs and winning at all costs. Lastly, aggressiveness. Kalanick shaped Uber to be confrontational, but be principled, and mottos such as always be hustling and toe stepping shows the aggressiveness.
The next question that I'm going to discuss is question 4:13. Which view of management do you see played out here? The omnipotent or the symbolic? Explain. The omnipotent view of management played out here. And to explain this, I'm going to use three factors that contributed to Uber's downturn under the leadership of Travis Kalanick, its former CEO. The first factor is Kalanick's management and leadership style. In several controversies, Kalanick was actually aware of what was happening, but he chose to turn a blind eye instead of preventing these issues from happening. For example, the use of grey ball to avoid providing services to the authorities, sexual harassment incidents, and concealment of several data breaches all came to the Kalanick's attention. His style misled the company and allows for more similar issues to happen in the future. The second factor is Kalanick's belief and mentality. His beliefs and mentality of winning at all costs and to be confrontational are aggressive, radical, inconsiderate, and unsustainable. His negligence of employees' welfare and his thoughts of jeopardizing employees to achieve desired outcome has created and shaped a toxic culture. This environment has led to several impacts, including sexual harassment in his offices, employees feeling neglected, and poor management at several levels of the company. Besides, he was also quoted as saying that violence guarantees success when sending his drivers to a protest in France. These were all proofs of his aggressive mindset. And the third and last factor is Kalanick's approach to issues. When Uber facing several allegations and controversies, Kalanick's approaches to them was to consistently ignore, evade, or avoid them, rather than addressing these issues directly. For example, Uber evaded regulations by cutting off computer access during police raids, faced numerous lawsuits that were often settled financially, and even used a dig up dirt strategy against reporters covering Uber's controversies. This has ultimately led to more issues and challenges for the company. So overall, Kellick's management style, beliefs, mentality, and approach to company issues suggests a clear relationship between Uber's performance and its management decisions. These factors influence and ultimately contributed to Uber's downturn. In conclusion, Kalanick was responsible for the company's poor performance, supporting the omnipotent view of management in this case.
Back to me again. Now let's look at question 14. What advice about organizational culture could you give to the new CEO? Before I start to answer this question, I'd like to define what is organizational culture. According to a Dictionary of Business and Management, the 5th edition by Jonathan Law, it refers to the values, customs, rituals, attitudes, and norms shared by the members of an organization, which have to be learned and accepted by new members of the organization. These are some advices from me to the new CEO, Mr. Dara Khosrowshahi. First and foremost, he should identify the problem. He must know what went wrong in the company under Kalanick's administration. Some examples will be the undervaluation of teamwork and collaboration. Kalanick's Uber is also famous for their toxic work environment and have bad reputation among legal enforcement officials. After careful analysis, Mr. Khosrowshahi should clarify desired culture that involve new culture that he wants to promote. All of this should align with the company's mission, vision, and objectives. In this case, Uber should be more diversified, equitable, and inclusive compared to the previous culture. Once the new culture is clarified, Mr. Khosrowshahi himself has to lead by example. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. By demonstrating the behavior focusing on teamwork, he can show his determination for a major cultural shift. He can also organize some leadership training programs or even initiate leadership reform to ensure the senior management team are committed to Uber's cultural transformation and hold them accountable for their actions. After that, Mr. Khosrowshahi should work on rebuilding trust with his employees by organizing all-hands meetings regularly as an open channel for every member in the company to provide their thoughts on the current progression. This ensures all practices and efforts foster inclusivity where all the employees feel heard, valued, and respected. A good way to encourage the workers to follow the cultural transformation is through proper reward system and recognition. For instance, Uber's new CEO can reward riders and drivers who delivers excellent services to their customer while upholding the local traffic law. Other than that, he could also reward the development team with best performance for a company trip to promote teamwork. Rebuilding organizational culture is not easy and will probably take years and years to progress. Hence, Mr. Khosrowshahi and his team must construct a system to track and assess how well the cultural transformation is progressing through surveys, interviews, and other feedback mechanisms. Necessary adjustments must be made if something goes wrong or the employees are pushing back.
Okay, for this question, from an ethics perspective, what part of this situation disturbs you the most? What career advice as far as ethical behavior could you take away from this story? For the situation that disturbed me the most is the fact the lady was dragged by an Uber driver. This organization is expected to safely transport its clients to their destination. The fact that this woman took an Uber, expecting to get at her location in a timely and safe manner, only to be dragged, completely contradicts the company's stated aim. Carney was so concerned with generating money that he didn't care whether a situation like this occurred. The ethical aspect of a firm is vital for consumers and the company's overall image. Resolve all or as many ethical issues as possible in order to free the organization of bad energy and misleading branding. Ethical quandaries inside businesses are unappealing to potential customers and might have a negative impact on the company's outcome. Besides that, the fact that unethical practices such as hiding data breach, exploiting employees, and showing a lack of accountability in serious matters such as customer safety and harassment disturb me the most. For the career advice on ethical behavior that I could take away from this case is prioritize integrity over short-term gains. Organizations need to ensure that choices and decisions are made based on integrity and fairness, even if it feels like an obstacle for the organization to succeed and make profit in a quick way. Good ethics will ensure long-term success and create a culture that attracts and retains talented employees, which will benefit both the organization and its people. Furthermore, organizations with integrity can also get high-value customers, reduce employee turnover, improve productivity, and make smart decisions. Plus, integrity leads employees to be honest about what they accomplish and proactive when they have questions. That means fewer missed deadlines and less employee burnouts. Secondly, career advice on ethical behavior that I could take away from this case is foster a culture of accountability and respect. Managers need to create a positive workplace that can let employees feel a culture of teamwork, fairness, and respect in the organization. Beyond this, managers need to build accountability into their actions. Managers need to demonstrate integrity, reliability, and transparency in their actions and hold themselves accountable to the same standards they expect from others. For instance, managers recognize and praise employees who demonstrate responsibility in their actions and decisions. Publicly recognize individuals who take ownership of their work and contribute to the successes of their team. Furthermore, listen and act on feedback. Managers should listen to their employees' feedback so that the problem can be solved, especially when it comes to sensitive issues such as harassment that managers need to pay attention to. If not, it may lead to serious consequences. Managers need to ensure that problems that are handled by employees are taken by the managers seriously and addressed promptly to create a positive workplace and avoid long-term issues among the managers and the employees. Last but not least, avoid a win-at-all-cost mentality. This mentality is often used by large companies. However, this mindset will lead to harmful consequences if not controlled well. Companies should focus on ethical practices rather than purely on results, which will lead to success for the company and everyone associated with it in the long run. To sum it, the lesson here is that how a company achieves success is just as important as the success itself. By cultivating an ethical, inclusive, and accountable approach to business, individuals and companies alike can pursue goals that benefit both the organization and the society at large.
Thank you, Vidun. Before we start answering questions related to the second case study, let me provide a brief summary of what it is about. Tableau is a software company founded in 2004 that provides data analytics and visualization software and has expanded rapidly across international markets with more than 35,000 clients in over a dozen countries. Despite tough competition, Tableau saw a 64% increase in revenue last year, with international markets contributing 86% of that growth, accounting for a quarter of the company's total revenue. While having more than half of their employees working in the company's Seattle headquarters, Tableau now operates in 14 international locations, including in cities like Shanghai, Singapore, Sydney, and London. Tableau is also planning to expand further by hiring 400 new employees abroad. Expanding globally presents various challenges such as cultural differences, time zone issues, and managing remote offices effectively across geographic distances. To overcome these challenges, CEO Christian Chapeau spent almost a year working in the company's London office. Its physical presence helped improve regional sales and provided insights for further international expansions. Chabot's time in London revealed the importance of understanding local culture and employee needs in international offices, especially those who live outside the United States. He also discovered that international employees felt disconnected and undervalued by headquarters as they often had not met their senior management in person. Chabot's decision to work abroad sent a clear message that employees outside of Seattle were crucial to Tableau's success, which helped improve morale and engagement across locations. Chabot's experience has been so impactful that Tableau is now encouraging other executives to spend time at international offices to strengthen relationships and understanding. Finally, Chabot's approach emphasizes the importance of managing culture and people in a global company, demonstrating that leadership, visibility, and personal engagement are key to successful international expansion.
Case Study 2, Question 4-16. Tableau staffs its international offices primarily with host country nationals. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this staffing strategy? Staffing international offices with host country nationals refers to the practice of hiring local employees in the country where the organization is located. There are pros and cons regarding to this staffing strategy. Let's first look at the first advantage, which is host country employees have a better understanding of local market and stronger relationship with local customers. This is because they can communicate with customers in their native language and form a culture of trust with customers. Another worth mentioning advantage is home country employees are familiar with the laws and regulations in host country market. Every country have their own laws in governing employment, business practices, and taxes that could be challenging for foreign employees without proper training. Lastly, Tableau is able to create brand image on specific industry. By fostering effective communication and building strong cultural relationship between local clients helps Tableau to develop reputation and reliability and cultural sensitivity. A positive brand image can not only attract clients but also ensure long-term success and sustainability in highly competitive market. On the other hand, there are also disadvantages of this staffing strategy. The first one would be host country staff may have different cultural norms, work styles, and business practices that are against companies' global vision and strategies. It is hard to the consistency of how the brand is represented across different regions. Besides, in some regions, the local talent pool may not have specific skills and expertise that are required by Tableau. This makes it difficult to employ the right employees for certain positions. Don't forget about the limited innovation of new technologies, ideas, and exposure to global practices. This happens because host country employees may not have opportunities to get exposed to practices, technologies, and innovations that are emerging in other parts of the world. Without diverse opinion, employees might not be able to follow the latest trend and apply new ways to innovate their markets. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, so now for this question, do you agree with Chabot that the company will benefit if more executives spend time in international offices? Why or why not? Yes, I do agree with Chabot that the company will benefit if more executives spend time in international offices because it will give a better understanding of the challenges of international employees working for a US-based company, and there are a lot of benefits accompanying this decision. First benefit is encourage employees. Executives are accountable for all the work of their organizations, so there is a need to move around all offices to encourage employees to work harder and achieve business objectives. Secondly, aware of workplace dynamics of a different country. Awareness of workplace dynamics of a different country, and this will also assist the executive in identifying the activities that are essential to achieving success around the world, and specify the positions that hold responsibility for performing them. Last but not least, this decision can also help in retaining the talent of Tableau company, as global networks that strengthen knowledge and good practices run on people-to-people contact and continuity. Executive continuity also comes down on turnover, recruitment, and opportunity cost. However, there are a few points that should be taken into consideration when taking such decisions. First one, the expenses required by the company for such a decision. For example, providing an international salary, housing allowance, and flight tickets. It will cause the cost to become higher for the executive to work in international offices. Secondly, safety issues. Safety issues in other countries that cannot be avoided or need to be prevented, such as earthquakes, Besides that, some countries might have issues related to safety, and this might affect executive performance in that country. For example, if the country has safety issues such as theft or damage, it will cause us loss to the companies itself. Last but not least, different cultures. As every country has its own culture, beliefs, and values, understanding all those immediately is very difficult. So, suffering from culture shock, the difference in the behavior pattern of people from different countries is a great disadvantage of working abroad. Executives need to adapt themselves with different cultures when they come to another country, and it may decrease their productivity.
Now let's move on to question 4-18. As the Blue executives get ready to spend time in the company's international offices, how can they prepare for the cultural differences they will encounter? Well, one of the ways to prepare themselves is to learn about the cultural customs and to instill upon themselves the respect for these cultural customs. Secondly, I believe that they need to also cultivate a very multicultural understanding in themselves so that they'll be able to understand what will go on and to also be understanding when they do things that are not in their own culture. Lastly, I believe that conducting in-depth cultural research is very important for the executives as they will be able to have more knowledge on uh, the etiquettes that they practice and the customs that they are practicing, and thus be able to prepare to communicate with them better and to be more understanding.
Next is the last question of this assignment, which is question 4-19. What are some of the challenges Tableau will face as it hires 1,000 new employees in 1 year? I'm going to explain 3 challenges Tableau will face as it hires 1,000 new employees in 1 year. The first challenge Tableau will face is culture integration. A large influx of new employees brings diverse personalities, beliefs, and cultural backgrounds, therefore, making it challenging and time consuming to instill and integrate culture. As we know, organizational culture influences how employees think and act. If these new employees are not aligned with company's values and goals, they risk becoming a liability for the company, hinder company's progress, weaken company's culture, and ultimately lead to more issues for the company. Second challenge Tableau will face is increased burden on HR. Hiring a large number of employees in a short period consumes substantial resources, especially from the human resources department. HR is not only responsible for recruitment, but also the onboarding, management, and evaluation of new employees. This sudden added workload can strain their daily operations, impact the well-being, increase overtime expenses for the company, and possibly reduce productivity as increased workload contribute to stress. The third and last challenge Tableau faces is managing external scrutiny and employee relations. Tableau, as a large-scale multinational company, attracts attention from external parties such as regulators, community groups, labor unions, and competitors. As the company keeps expanding, its management must also strengthen its practices to ensure effectiveness and efficiency. If not, potential issues such as difficulties in compliance with complex regulations and labor laws, neglect of employees' welfare, misconduct among employees, and ethical concerns may arise. Once these issues arise, they'll be magnified by external parties, and this may cause several impacts for the company, which include reputational damage, potential financial losses due to increased compensation claims, reduced profitability, and declining stock value for the company. In addition, persistent similar employee-related issues may also lead to poor workplace morale, higher staff turnover, and difficulty in attracting and even retaining top talents. These further impact the company's competitive advantage. And this is the end of our presentation. And I, on behalf of the whole Tutorial 4 Group 4, would like to say thank you to all of you who sacrifice your time and pay attention to our presentation and slides. Thank you.